guys, this is Designs for Noble Desktop, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you a bunch of tricks of the trade in Adobe After Effects. Truth be told, I'm just recording this now, and this might run long, so this could be a two-parter. So I'll see how long it is at the end, and I'll probably just put a disclaimer there if it's going to be a two-parter or not. But yeah, so this tutorial, like I said, is going to be tricks and techniques to help you speed up your workflow. There's like a mix of beginner level and intermediate tips here, and we have the chapter list in the description, so like scroll through that to find anything in particular. Also, my cat has joined us. You might hear sounds of a struggle. It's good to learn this stuff because often we're working under deadlines, and even outside of that, your personal projects will benefit a ton from just knowing how to efficiently speed up or handle certain workflows. So, as for this tutorial, we're going to be using an asset I have here, made for an Instagram account. We're Noble Desktop on Instagram, by the way. We just started a TikTok, so follow us there. So, we have a ton of, tips over there if you want to check us out. But yeah, so let's get started with the main tutorial. So I've made this shape over here. Nothing to do with the rest of this project here, but I've made this shape here, and I want it to have the same wiggling effect as this hummingbird does. But I don't want to go to the trouble of like typing out the expression that I already had before, especially if we're working with like longer expressions. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting down a keyframe, any keyframe, and I'm going to be clicking the attribute that has the expression already typed in. I'm going to go up to Edit, Copy Expression Only, head back over here to what I want to now have the new expression, paste, and if I hit play, now it also has that expression applied to it. Next one, let's reorder layers. So I have this project already layered how I want it, but let's say I want to rearrange these layers. What you're going to be doing, you're actually going to be selecting, so I'm going to Control or Command select my layers in the new order that I want them in. So click, 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 I got them. Now I'm going to Command Ctrl-X to cut them out, and then we're going to paste them back in. And now when you paste them back in, they are now in the new order, right? So the order that you cut them in is going to be the order that you paste them back in. All right, so now I'm going to teach you guys how to do spatial interpolation, which is a long way of saying make your keyframes nice and smooth. So I've separated my keyframes out here a little bit just so you can see what I'm about to do. And I'm going to right-click on, let's see, I'll do this keyframe. Come on, man, listen to me. I'm going to right-click on this keyframe. I'm going to do Keyframe Interpolation over here. And basically what that's going to do, it's going to ask me, like, hey, do you want these keyframes to change, like, really sharply, like in a line, linear? Do you want it to be nice and smooth, like a Bezier, which is kind of, for purposes of this, it's like a curve. And there's different kind of Bezier. Honestly, you're probably just going to pick one and settle on it. You could always do like auto Bezier. If you want more control, you can do like different, regular Bezier. A hold just means that it holds position and snaps to a new one. But I'm going to just choose continuous Bezier for my temporal interpolation. So that's going to just basically affect like how this object changes over time. The spatial one affects the shape of the path, so you can see this line over here. I'm going to do this one, and when I play it, you'll see it like flies in, and it starts flying in a bit smoother than before. Whereas before, you see in comparison to the other keyframes, it's quite sharp. Now if I took this into my graph editor here, you can actually see the effects over here. You see how this is nice and smooth, and suddenly it drops off sharply. So yeah, spatial interpolation is basically asking you like, hey, do you want to change the shape of its path? Do you want to change how it moves? The kind of like, what's the personality of its moving? Now, if that last thing about personality didn't make any sense, you didn't hear it from me. All right, so let me show you how to edit original. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're working with like an outside file, like a PSD, an Illustrator file. I'm going to choose my hummingbird file here. I'm going to type it into Project Panel so I can bring it up. There we go. You're going to select it, and then you hit Command or Ctrl-E. And what that's going to do is that's going to open the program that you originally created that asset in, and then you can edit that asset there, save it, and it'll be updated. So I've got my original open here. Let's say I want to make a little red heart shape on the bird. Hit save. So Command or Ctrl-S. Wait a moment in After Effects, and it will There we go. All right, let me show you how to time reverse keyframes. Now I'm going to play the original animation for you, and I want you to make note of the path of the hummingbird. All right, you see it kind of holds in one place a little bit longer than the others. So let's say we want that to go in reverse. You right click on the particular layer the keyframe's on, and then we go to time reverse layer. Now check it out, you can even visually see that the keyframes are different. Now I'm going to play this again. And now you can see that the quick movements are at the beginning and the long pause is at the end. So yeah, that's time reverse keyframes. Now if you're working with a very long layer here, because you saw I trimmed it down here, if I hit time reverse, it's going to put those keyframes all the way at the end, so, fair warning. Now I'm going to show you how to sequence layers. Now we did a full tutorial on this, but I'll do a sped up version here. So I'm going to go into my wings pre-comp. And actually, I'm going to go into Fast Wings pre-comp because the way that I did the wings, that this was a frame-by-frame animation, was that I drew a bunch of the frames in Photoshop, and then what I did is that I sequenced them in After Effects. Now you can see them like that. And then, but because combined, all those frames didn't make up, it made 3 seconds. Not even. It made just a, couple of frames. I wanted to go on longer, so what I did was I made those into pre-comps, and now I'm in another pre-comp. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be clicking, let's say I'm going to go from the bottom, so shift-click the keyframes, the layers in the order that you want them to be sequenced, right-click, go to Keyframe Assistant, and that is going to layer your keyframes exactly so they play in sequence. So I'm going to hit Sequence Layers, just hit OK here, and you see that they've lined them up for me. So it'll continue in one smoothless transition, and this effect is great if you have a lot of hand-drawn animation, frame-by-frame animation, really any animation that you want to play one after another. Splitting layers, all right. So for this one, move your playhead to any particular point on the timeline, and you know about Command-Control-D. That'll duplicate your layer. But if you hit Shift-Command-Control-D, you've split your layer over here, and what you can do with that is I want to show you actually that the new layer has all the keyframes of the previous layer. So you can take those keyframes, you can add new ones if you want, you can mess around with them, and essentially, here I'll play it for you. It's a great technique. Sorry, my computer's loading a little slowly. It's a great technique if you have, let's say, an effect where you want one layer, let's say you have a hand reaching into a chip bag. So, an animation like that. You can have the hand reaching into the chip bag, animate it, and split the layer at such a point so it'll look like the hand is disappearing into the chip bag. And you can see that I can just really mess around with the keyframes on this new layer over here. And that's all for this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed learning these tricks of the trade in Adobe After Effects. This is going to be part 1 of a 2-part series. I don't know if it's a series if there's only 2 parts. This is part 1 of something. If you have any questions or suggestions for future tutorials, let us know in the comments. Let us know if you have any motion graphics projects that you're working on. We'd love to hear about them. This has been Sephora Designs for Mobile Desktop.